So she tried to sell her account of what happened to the media in 2016. This is after she had an affair with him in 2006 at some golf tournament at Tahoe. And this is after he had an affair with Karen McDougal, former Playmate of the Year. Some would say Playmate of all time. The obscurata of this case is, so she tried to sell her account of what happened to the media in 2016. This is after she had an affair with him in 2006 at some golf tournament at Tahoe. And this is after he had an affair with Karen McDougal, former Playmate of the Year. Some would say Playmate of all time. I wouldn't know who those people are, but some would say that. So anyway, his lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid her $130,000 to shut the hell up. That kind of payment is called hush money. This is the BBC explaining that. That's not illegal, but what has got Mr. Trump into trouble is how that payment was recorded in his accounts. He's accused of falsifying his business records by saying the payment was for legal fees. So you understand, no man's above the law and the blah, blah, blah. As it happened just before Americans were due to vote, it may also violate laws about payments that help in election campaigns. So anyway, so that kind of obscura is the fact that it was, my understanding is because it was done in furtherance of another federal crime whose statute of limitations has run out. That's what elevates it to a felony. I don't know. But it's not a high crime or misdemeanor. And so that means he can still run for president. There's nothing in the U.S. Constitution to prevent Mr. Trump from continuing his election campaign. Now he is being charged. Now this I can tell you, there are people who are not going to spend the 30 seconds to be as bored as I am about the details of the case. They're just going to see that Trump's going to be arrested. He's not resisting this. This is going to be probably the biggest money raising week in his campaign or his life. And there's other people that they're going to react the wrong way, and they're going to drive from Central Oregon to New York or something with a car full of guns. Somewhere in America, if several thousand people on a Tuesday, January 6, 2000. Oh, wow. Anyway, and that was thing 3. Let's get to thing 4 already.
Fourth thing.
Absolutely chomping at the bit for me to tell you about Finland. Well, Turkey stepped out of the way. Out of the way, you turkeys. Turkey's parliament voted to approve Finland's membership bid yesterday, clearing the last major roadblock. The move would double NATO's land border with Russia, not counting Alaska, by the way, because that's not NATO. It's 2 NATO countries, but it's so the deal is Finland, a whopping 6 million people. Russia just got itself 800 miles of frontage, an 800-mile increased security zone with a NATO member, with Finland. And yes, there will be U.S. bases in Finland, and American B-1Bs will be based out of Finland, and they'll be visiting the lovely, lovely country full of ironic and brilliant people. And so there's your booby prize. There you go for Putin. You win.
Attorney in New York who did this. This was a grand jury of some 23 people, right. And you need a majority, 12, to go ahead and criminally indict.
Well, I understand that, and been a long time since I was in law.
But you can opt not to indict. The grand jury doesn't direct you to indict someone.
School, Wolf, but I remember the old saying, you can indict a ham sandwich, right?
Well, anyway, it's he will. I don't want him to reap the whirlwind because I don't want there to be a whirlwind. But boy, I'll tell you what, the whirlwind is inside of Lindsey Graham.
So what's behind all this? Hatred. They tried to destroy Kavanaugh because they wanted to keep the Supreme Court seat open. They're trying to destroy Donald Trump because they fear him at the ballot box. To the conservatives out there, make sure you vote. If you got friends, make sure they vote. If you don't have any friends, go make some friends. But you
it's kind of
that's my favorite line of the whole.
If you don't have any friends, I know that reminds me of if you don't love your children, you don't have to leave them your farm.
If you don't have any friends, go make some friends. But you need to help this man, Donald J. Trump. They're trying to drain him dry. He spent more money on lawyers than most people spend on campaigns. They're trying to bleed him dry. Donald J. Trump.com. Go tonight. Give the president some money to fight this bullshit. This is going to destroy America. We're going to fight back at the ballot box. We're not going to give in. How does this end, Sean? Trump wins in court, and he wins the election.
Can't disagree. Someone get that man a towel. Somebody get that senator a towel. And so finally, let's wrap it up with the calm, dulcet tones of Gavin Newsom's first wife.
People should be afraid that if they can do this to Donald Trump, they can do it to you. And by the way, they can do it to the next Democrat that they don't.
And he wins the election.
Can't disagree. Someone get that man a towel. Somebody get that senator a towel. And so finally, let's wrap it up with the calm, dulcet tones of Gavin Newsom's first wife.
People should be afraid that if they can do this to Donald Trump, they can do it to you. And by the way, they can do it to the next Democrat that they don't like. This should be a bipartisan issue calling for law and order and for fairness in our justice system in the United States of America, with the greatest justice system the world has seen. I was so proud to be a prosecutor. I'm holding my head down in shame at the disgrace of what has transpired here.
You know who fired her?
Please tell me.
Kamala Harris.
No kidding.
Yeah, there was a total catfight over Gavin Newsom, and it was Kamala versus Kimberly. Kimberly married him. Kamala never forgot him for that. Meanwhile, she's having an affair with the Speaker of the Assembly of California, and he's naming her to this board and that board and that board to bump her up to $200,000 a year. Anyway, I want to.
And the crime they're committing against Donald Trump, it is absolutely outrageous. But let me tell you something about Donald Trump, my friend, for 18 years. He is way stronger than any of them have any idea, and he is a total fighter. And they are after Donald Trump because they're really after you. They are after anyone that supports him. It is an absolute outrage.
And you know what? She's reading the room. That's what a lot of, ardent Trump fans are going to take this very personally. And this DA didn't consider that. Yeah, and, can you technically? If a president is speeding, yes, you can, and drunk driving, yeah, you can FST him and arrest him. But should you? I
don't know. This line from Trump's most fervent supporters about they're coming after you, I'm not sure I buy this. If you didn't falsify business records to conceal a $130,000 hush money payment to a porn star in the waning days of a presidential campaign, you might be okay. You might not be prosecuted. They're coming after you. I don't see the through line there.
Mr. President, I'm not saying we're not going to get our hair mussed. But quoting Dr. Strangelove, I'm just saying no one is going to say that, and they're going to read it exactly like she just said, that this is not, if they could arrest every one of you, they would, and the whole thing. And, I would just tell people on the right wing, you have no grievances. Except you can make them if you want. You can. I frankly think this, depending on the indictment that's unsealed on Tuesday, I really think it's going to be tough to get a conviction on an ex-president. Now, in Manhattan, he is just Donald Trump, and he has made himself centerpiece of every story for 40 years in Manhattan. It's a different deal outside, from in Iowa. Maybe you never clapped eyes on the guy until his plane landed in Des Moines. I don't know. But in New York, he was ubiquitous, and there's a lot of built up hate for the guy and the whole thing. So maybe they can find the 12 jurors that would. But then again, he gets a lawyer, too. If you're going to ask a juror, have you ever heard of this guy? He was president for 4 years, and they say no. You're going to go, Your Honor, we accept juror number 55. So anyway, I just think that this DA, the investigation in Georgia has a lot more firmer ground, and it can be explained as well. But this one, I bet the other attorneys are saying, in other jurisdictions are saying, this is frivolous and a bit dumb, frankly. But like I say, the countermeasure for this is that for the House of Representatives to hold a vote of impeachment. And even though it's performative, it was performative in late January. The last one that Pelosi held, the one on Ukraine, was performative also. It was just a nose count, is all it was. But Kimberly,
any of them have any idea, and he is a total fighter, and they are after Donald Trump because they're really after you. They are after anyone that supports him. It is an absolute outrage.
So there you go. There's the dirt. There's the gossip. There's the backstory. And the whole thing back in a second with our... Boy, I'm smelling the barn, Greg. I smell the barn.